to this episode of Stopping the Violence, July 10th, 2024. Greetings to everyone. My name is Reverend Zachary James Oliver. I'm the Vice President, UPF, which is the premier sponsor of this webinar titled Stopping the Violence in America. It's been a very wonderful couple of years of bringing some prolific and artistic and really insightful speakers from pretty much every area of outreach, such as law enforcement and community activists and spiritual leaders, church leaders, pastors, and just a variety of people who have come on. Even some mayors of cities have come on and shared their hopes and strengths, avenues that they have been taking in order to help reduce the crime in America. So we're very happy to have you here. Again, today, one of our guests could not appear live, so we decided to do a rerun. And this rerun, and I'm going to introduce her by her name and title, and then from there, we will get a little more information about who she really is and what she really represents in the area of reducing crime. Her name is Karesha Holt, and her title is Taking a Bite Out of Crime Through Illiteracy. EJ?
Her name is Karesha Holt, and I'd like her to tell you about who she is, what she does, and how all of this contributes to stopping the violence in America. Welcome, Karesha.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure, Reverend Oliver, to be here with you guys on Stopping the Violence. As you've already said, my name is Karesha Holt, and I am the founder of the KARE to Make a Change Initiative. I will definitely give you a little bit more background about that, but just to get a little personal, I'm 41. I live over here in Franklin, Tennessee. I'm married to my husband for the past 10 years. We've been together 13. I've got a beautiful bonus baby in Jamaica. My husband is Jamaican, and of course, I'm of mixed culture as well, so Liberian American. KARE to Make a Change is an initiative that I birthed just back in 2023 in February. And again, our focus is to improve childhood illiteracy, which ties into violence that we see across Africa, America, I would say Pan-Africa, say it, for Black and Brown, and we specifically focus on
Thank you. Maybe it's your internet connection. It's a little. Hello? I was saying your internet connection, you're breaking up just a tad bit.
Okay. Let me check something really quickly. We know the devil likes to be busy when we are trying to do something great. So let's see if I can fix that really quickly. Thank you for letting me know.
Without a doubt. That's his mission.
Oh.
We heard you very clear when you were speaking at the very end. Could hear you very clearly.
Yes.
I think she froze.
She froze.
Don't tell me I lost
No,
everything.
we can hear, we just heard you, but only thing is you have froze, your internet. Maybe sometimes it's best to come on, go off, and then come back on.
I didn't realize that we were that part. Maybe we can move it up.
Start again, and so sorry about that. If we have a technical glitch, I'll switch devices. But my name is Karesha Holt. I live here in Franklinton, NC, and I am the co-founder, or I should say founder, of the KARE to Make a Change Initiative. My husband also supports, so I always say like he is the co-founder in the background, he's the muscle man. We have been married for 10 years, together for 13, and I've got a bonus baby out in Jamaica. So for me, working to improve childhood illiteracy with this initiative that I started back in 2023 is very dear to my heart.
So if you could just give us a whole overview of what you're doing and how you have been using this initiative in order to play an intricate role in the well-being of those young people who are at risk and also those people. Okay, then that's right. There will be a PowerPoint. Yeah.
And you'll have to forgive me if I lean in because it's giving me issues with sound. so if you see me look a little confused, it's only because of the network. Again, this is KARE to Make a Change, and we can definitely go to slide 2. Today, what we're going to talk about, I'm going to introduce you to KARE, also tell you a little bit about myself as well. I'll definitely touch on topics in regards to how this is beneficial for children specifically, and even overall for societies, because we do focus specifically on Black and Brown children and improving illiteracy with this particular initiative. We'll talk a little bit about statistics because I'm sure you guys will be shocked to see how the numbers of illiteracy here in sub-Saharan Africa, as well as America. Well, we're going to also talk about how we do what we do as well, and then also how you can help with our Ghana campaign that's going on in 2024. And we could go to the next slide. Nadia's being my fingers, and I appreciate it. As you guys all heard, I am the founder of the KARE to Make a Change Initiative. I started this back in February of 2023, as I was also a participant, a delegate in the Miss Full Figure North Carolina pageant here. If you haven't heard about it, it's been held for, I think, the past 9 years in a row by Karesha Jones. She's the director. And this particular program is phenomenal because it brings together the movers and the shakers in the community to also help to create platforms that are positive across North Carolina, the United States, etc. For my particular platform, I am aiding in both Sub-Sahara as phase 1, and then also looking at the America for phase 2. During my pageant, I had an idea. I wanted to help children. Like I told you before, I am of African and American background. So my father is from Liberia, West Africa. My mother is from Ohio in Toledo. What I've always wanted to do is to give back and help others, because I think we fail to realize it's for the luck of birth, that what family we're born to, what resources we have, and not everyone has those resources available to them. So I decided to team up with 2 partners, the African Library Project and Soulful Indulgences. And my goal was to raise just 1,000 books and build 1 library. Like they say, when God blesses what you're working on, he just brings everything that you need to you. So instead of raising 1,000 books over the past 4 months, which is what you standardly would do, I actually raised above 4,000 to 6,000 books. I was able to build 4 libraries in Africa, over in Malawi, Kenya, Uganda, as well. And so right now we're still going ahead and doing our build and focusing on our 5th as well. So I'm very honored to have become a 2023 Global Literacy Champion. And, like they said, in 2023, I thought work was done, but the Most High said, absolutely not. You've got more work to do. And we've been blessed with the resources to do it by a few folks that I'll be talking about. And we can go to the next slide. Thank you, Nadia. So my key goals with the Care to Make a Change initiative, it's to, one, improve childhood illiteracy across Africa and also America, specifically for Black and Brown children. I'm targeting in regards to that particular group because when you're looking at the literacy numbers, there is support that is needed there. And there are a lot of ramifications for not having the education that you need. In addition to that, I ensure that these children receive books of representation. As we all are aware, when we're reading books, sometimes it's not from the purview of a minority or someone who is from a minority group. And so we want our children to see themselves in these books, to become passionate and want to learn. When I was a child, I used to love reading. I used to love getting lost in them. And because my parents instilled that in me, I became successful in what I do. Although I'm the founder of this, I also work within project management, portfolio management, as well as program management on a global level. So, I know that without the push for education and specifically reading, I would not have been able to get the certifications, pass the programs that I need to get into the leadership positions that I've been able to achieve. So this is really for me to give back and ensure that we can support children in raising up in the ladder so that they can help their families. What you guys can see on the view is my Ghana campaign. You'll see it all over our Care to Make a Change page. Of course, we've got a campaign going from December, and we were extended out to April 26th so that we can ensure that we can get books to support. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So let's talk about illiteracy, because I'm sure we're really thinking, we've got schools, we've got charter schools, we've got tutors, we've got all these resources. We live in the age of internet. And I don't know about you, when I went to school, computers had just started, I'll say back in 1980s, 90s, computers had just started being in the classroom. We were just starting to learn how to be on them. Now they're just something that's a handheld device you've got free access to, right? But that is incorrect. Not everyone has access to this. And not everybody has access to the educational resources that we do tend to take for granted. So just looking at the statistics for 2023, there's about 773 million people who are illiterate worldwide. That's just worldwide. And again, that is in the age of computers. If we look at America, it's sad to say, but 20% of our adult population, they are not able to read and write. There's folks who go down to get their jobs down here. They can't read the application. They don't know how to fill out the paperwork. They don't know what to do with the paperwork. And when they go in front of someone, because of that esteem issue, they might not properly speak in an interview. And so they're looked over. And it's quite unfortunate because we're dismissing them for something that they were not taught or learned or encouraged versus perhaps their skill sets. When we look at sub-Saharan Africa, there is over 182 million folks worldwide who cannot, for that particular region, who are unable to read. And I'll say, I've traveled around. I did tell you guys my husband is from Jamaica. When you go there and you see folks who can only put an X, they cannot control their destinies. And so their hands are, I would say, their lives are now put under a control that is not fair for them. They're not given the due respect. They're not able to find the jobs. They're not able to provide for their families. And this goes worldwide, right? If you don't have the resources, if you can't get to those jobs, then your destiny is in the control of someone else, as well as your economic future. And those have impacts for your family and just for society overall. So, our focus is, again, we want to flip or decrease these numbers so that we can start seeing folks take control over their lives, take control of their jobs and be able to provide as they should and have just the decent human respect that should be provided to them. So, and next slide. So what do we do, right? I talk about, I'm raising books. I want to talk about how we're doing that. And then what does that mean at the end? So you're going to see a couple of photos here, and I'm going to walk you guys through it just to get you guys a little familiar with what we do. So with Care to Make a Change, my goal is raising books. I raise books through donations from corporations as well as individuals. I've had books being sent as far as Hawaii. We've driven up to Kenya. At the time, I think we've had about 4 areas where you could go and drop off books. Now we've decreased it to 2 just due to bandwidth issues. So at this moment, we've got some locations where you can drive and drop off books. We'll go and pick them up. But as you can see in the far top corner, this is when we first started. So this was back in February. We received about 500 books from Restore. They are absolutely fabulous to work with. I end up reaching out to resource managers who own store managers and just inquire in regards to whether they've got donations. We get donations off of Facebook, folks who want to sell their books. They end up saying, yeah, I'll donate it and I'll help a great cause. And then, of course, we've got just individual contributors who just choose to care and want to help out. So when we get these books, we've got a ton of things that we've got to do. We've got to sort them, pack them. But at this moment, when you take a look at the slide, I'd love for you to see in the far right, that's one of the Restore store managers who just thought of us and remembered us and had books for us. On the bottom left, you'll see a couple who was she was an ex-teacher and didn't know what to do with her books and decided to give them to us. And then we've got folks who will just drop them off in our donation bins. And then, of course, people who will bring them by, such as a dear friend of mine in this photo. And we'll go to the next photo. Next slide, please. So once we get the books, it's a lot of stuff that we have to do. We can't just take any and every book. We look at keeping only looking for books that are grades K through 8. They can be just used, they can be new. We have to sort them to ensure that there's nothing religious, nothing sexual, nothing that is specific to American culture within these books. You know, Thanksgiving is great here, but around the world, it's not necessarily a known holiday. So we ensure to sort them. You'll see that in the far left upper hand corner. You'll also see our little mascot, Dio, who is now joined with Coco. So there's 2 puppies who help us along the way. Once we sort them, we get into counting them as well. And then we count them and we make sure to pack them as well within our packing parties. And so you'll see that in the far upper right-hand corner where I've got some volunteers who are packing boxes so that we can make sure that we've got the correct numbers. We have the packing slips that can make it across international borders. And then, of course, in the bottom right, you'll see me shipping my first group of 11 boxes. These were going to the African Library Project's a storage facility where they're held until the container shipment is ready for us to take on the load. And from there, African Library Project takes it across the seas. We hand it over to the teachers, and then we're building the libraries there. We can go to the next slide. On this slide, as I told you guys, there's a freight that we have to wait for to make sure we've got a lot of shipments. I am doing this as a continual. There are some folks who are doing it on a volunteer basis. This is a permanent passion for me, so it's not a volunteer, it's an effort, it's a mission that needs to be supported. So for us, we wait till it gets into the shipment container, and then you can see in Malawi how they are taking those books out. This is actually the fire brigade. They're taking it out and they're taking them over to the university. Where you're seeing these books, we actually had our books included. We had about 1,000 that were sent over to create 2 libraries. So this is now over at the Malawi Institute of Education, where they're having a presentation for the children, also presenting the books. And those include the Chidwabi School Library and the Jack and Jill Primary and Nursery School Library that we helped to build. I'll go to the next one. Here you're able to see the children participating over at the university. They're excited to get the books. In the far right, you're going to see the teacher librarian training. So this is also held at the University of Malawi as well. So I want to pause for a moment. There are two types of libraries that we build. We build libraries specific schools, and then we also build community libraries. This is very imperative to be supported, because you've got children who are within households who may not have resources, financial resources, right? They might have to make a decision whether to make money and eat or whether to go to school. That is not a decision any child should have to make in this time. I couldn't imagine being a child and having to make at that time. When I visited Liberia about 6 years ago, right now you will see that there are, we saw maids, there's people in servant positions, and there's nothing wrong with that. But they also aren't making the adequate pay. And some folks are not able to even take care of their children. So those children might become house servants, house girls, house boys, doing the cooking and cleaning, making sure to watch over the property. But again, that's where you want not necessarily having a childhood as we would define here, right? Again, those are things that not necessarily children or parents should really have to make those tough decisions, but they do, and that's the reality of the world. What's amazing here is that we're able to create libraries where kids can have access. They don't have to choose. Here's a community library that is accessible to all of the folks that are in that particular area. And so in the right-hand corner, what you're seeing is that the teachers and librarians are being trained on how to maintain those books, check them in, check them out, talk to the children in regards to how they're supposed to return them back, not utilize them. So they go through an in-depth training at that time. At the bottom, after they do that mandatory teacher librarian training and the ceremonial book handover, they're then giving their books, and then they're able to make it to their permanent homes, where we have those libraries built as well. If we're able to get more books, which we are at this time within 2024, we can actually fill up those libraries with more than just 1,000. We could probably fill them with 2,000, 3,000. And again, this helps the children to learn and also to get the opportunities that they need when they get older. And we can go to the next slide. Here what you'll see is that we received the 2023 Global Literacy Champion certificate for both of our libraries that we helped to create. It was a godsend to be able to do it. It was just, when we talk about these book drives, standardly you really should only be able to do about 1,000 books in over 4 months. We're sitting at about, I would say maybe 8,000 books, and we did that in about 6 to 8 months. I mean, we have been working and rolling and supporting library after library after library. And again, we're going to continue to do that with hopes that we can expand even further worldwide, even into the Caribbean, and then also looking at the opportunities that are here. Last December, before we ended, I thought, okay, well, I'll have to, I've got enough books, I've got enough books for my first library in 2024. So we should be set, but God sent more. We actually got this huge container that you can see at the bottom left. It was really special. The Restore located over there off of, I wouldn't say it's Wake Restore. I'm probably saying that incorrect, but it's the first Restore that I had volunteered at for the Miss Full Figure pageant. And so for them to be able to think about me, they had been saving all of these kids' books just to give us. So we have over probably 6,000 to 8,000 books in that particular box. Like I said, some of these quotes that you're going to see on the right, when God decides to bless you, he will always cause situations to come together in your favor. No matter what others try to block, no one can block the blessings meant for you. And that's what I'm seeing with this. If you see me tear up a little bit, I get a little emotional about this, so you'll have to forgive me. But although I've been working on this and being diligent, the opportunities that he's opened, the things that he's brought, the people that he's brought into my life, the fact that folks are remembering us and want to work with us, they're hearing that this is something important that they want to participate in. They're also hearing that they want to care. That child doesn't have to be yours to know that you wouldn't want your niece, your nephew, your son, your daughter in a situation where they couldn't control their destiny, in a situation where they have to wake up and not deal or not be able to participate in a childhood. So seeing folks care about what we're doing, it moves me every day. There's a lot of people out there who have great hearts, and I've seen it through my initiative. The next slide, please. So how do you help with everything that's going on, right? You're seeing like tons of books. You're like, well, how do I help? We still need books. We're going to be doing this for years. This is not just something that we picked up that we haven't. The fact that we were able to get 4 libraries, in within a span of 8 months, that's just, it's unheard of. That I talked to my counterparts over at the African Library Project, and they're like, "You've got books already?" "I've got books. Like, we're ready. Like, let's, go ahead and get those applications from the teachers and select the schools and provide what we have as donations." But we are always going to need books. The benefit here is that your child might outgrow stories, but those books can live on with people who truly need them. So, feel free, if you've got K through 8th grade reading level books, new, used, we absolutely will take them. In regards to shipping donations, I also collect that. Everything that you see, it's fun out of pocket. We also have people who are very sweet about giving. So each library is about $650. So if you can think about that, that's what, $1,300 for 2. Last year we did raise about $2,600 for 4 to get out, and again, 8 months. So we always need the support and the donations because we want to ensure that children have the capability to get that education that they need. In regards to volunteers, we need sorters, we need counters, we need packers. We literally have about 6,000 to 8,000 books that was recently donated. Our bookcases, we need bookcases. I've already filled all the bookcases that we have. I am almost about to get a new bookcase and just like lead it around the house on the other side so that we can still file in those books and keep everything organized. I'm a project manager, so I do not live in disarray. Like, I've got to have organization, although we're doing this. I will say that although our primary focus right now, like I said, is phase 1, for us to work with the African Library Project and to build the libraries that we're doing in sub-Saharan Africa, we also have been in discussion with a couple of other local organizations around here in regards to starting reading hours locally. And then I also received plenty of books for adults as well. I can't ship those overseas, so I am talking to Durham Rescue Mission in regards to whether they would like those books as well. You've got plenty of men, plenty of women, college age folks there, and they need to be able to take their mind somewhere else while they're in that particular situation. So we'll see, how those discussions go, but we are looking to make sure that we can pass on what we've been blessed with so we can bless others. But as you guys can see, we've got our Guyana book drive. That is our first. This will be our 5th library. We just were extended out to May 1st. It looks like they won't have all of the storages ready. And we don't like things sticking in storage for a long time because that's a higher cost, especially for the African Library Project. So at this moment, we're going to have this going until April 26th. We've already raised $200 of the $650, but I am making a stretch goal to attempt to send 2,000 books, 3,000 books. So again, we are looking for donations to help support that, as well as we are also looking for folks who can volunteer because we will be counting and sorting throughout the entire year. I'm sure you guys saw that book bin. So it's quite substantial. But I think that takes us, I think that's our last slide. And I think you guys saw at the end, just get the word out. We need folks to, and I know, Nadia, I just said that's at the end, and I know you were like, she said it was done. But we need folks to get the word out, right? What we're doing here, we're trying to make worldwide impact. We're not, it's a lot of folks who can complain about things that's going on in your area, and that's easy to do. Yeah, but you have to take it a step further. And the step further is where you step into the gap and look at where you are. I want to pay that back. I want to help someone else. I want to help make sure that they have a better future. You know, I prayerfully hope that some child that we have worked with that has received the book is going to just become so passionate about their education, so passionate, and they become successful, and they go back to, you know, the village, or they go back to the city that they're from, and they pay it forward with those children, and they help to lift their community up as one person lifts up the other. So it can be done. It just takes all of us, you know, to concerted effort to make that change. So that is my presentation. And so I guess I would leave it open for any questions, answers. And I'm hoping I hear them all, because again, I know we have network, so I'm hoping.
Well, if you can continue, I think I need to hear. I might have asked her a question. How does she see it applying to stopping the violence? EJ? Yeah.
By taking young people from illiteracy to literacy, how that plays a part in changing their behavior, changing their outlook, and also how that plays a part in reducing violence, using behaviors that will eventually morph into violence. So that's my question.
That's a great question, and thank you so much, Reverend Oliver. For that, in regards to the question that you just provided, when folks are not, so I will say as an example, if we have a child who, let's just say, is unable to read or write, or is unable to have the skills that they need, also is well, right? For a particular position, they may not be looked at, or they may pay for income. We already know here in America, government wage, you know, we've got plenty of folks who are migrating. So even folks who might be touched by this, such as if they were not touched by this, they don't have the educational level and standards that an employer would like them to have. So now you're either being blocked out from having a job opportunity, or you are being underpaid and also underpaid. Now, what some folks can do, some folks might not choose to move forward with that opportunity. They may feel disrespected, they may feel embarrassed. They might do is say, I need money now to help my family, and I'm going to look for an easier method, i.e. crime, to ensure that I can get the income that I need to support my family. Now, yes, we might look down on crime, but I mean, let's be realistic. There are some folks who, if they cannot pay for the house, and we know money is just the cost of everything raises every year, and minimum wage is not, then they're going to go for an opportunity to support and feed their family in the manner that they only can. So now you've got someone now being introduced to crime. Reported. So now you've got a family that's left with an income that's no longer available, and also perhaps a family member who is no longer there. So now you've got emotional issues that could be in that family. You've got financial issues that can be in that family. If that person is in the criminal system, you know, there's not a lot. There are companies who are making it easier for inmates to also join and rejoin into the corporate and all of these other businesses, but there are quite a few who are not. So now you've got repeat criminality as well. It's a vicious cycle that does start with having education. Everything that I just gave you as an example might be able to be dismissed and not available if you've got someone who is in fact literate and is competent and does have the skills to be able to take on a job, provide a livable wage for whatever position they have. So now being also improve the legacy of what you've got there, beneficial and helpful to society, right? The other example It is fortunate, but not so much. I have a child who watched criminal behavior, is now repeating that criminal behavior. And that just continues down, right? So we want to stop some of these vicious cycles at the root. And that is education and ensuring that they can learn, that they can read and write, that they get those jobs where they have livable wages, where they can take care of their children, where their children see them in the best light and can continue that in their life. A little bit of a long answer, but my thoughts.
Thank you very much. A great answer. And I think that you're correct. When people
Okay, thank you.
read, also expands their mind, it expands their horizon. It takes them out of that.
Yes, thank you very much. Let me see. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I am sorry. I'm using my phone. My computer is down, so when I get a call in, sometimes it takes me somewhere else. But anyway, I want to open up the floor for any discussions or any comments on what she shared. Of course, I think she was correct, and that's why I wanted to continue. What does she think about the area of literacy playing a critical role or some role in the decrease or the reduction of crime? And I like her answer. So I just wanted to open up the floor for anyone else to share, if they have anything else to share in regards to that. Go ahead, Reverend Franklin.
Okay, Reverend Oliver. Thank you so much for facilitating this conversation. Yeah, because one of the things, that very famous Bible quote that comes to my mind, my people perish for the lack of knowledge, right? And then I'm just thinking about John Rockefeller, who was one of the foundation for America's wealth in the early 20th century, and a few others. But one of the things, a disturbing quote that John Rockefeller said, that I don't need thinkers, I need workers. And so this is incredible effort, an able, noble effort upon this lady's part to be able to give access to knowledge for those Africans as well as inner city youth who do not have that ability to be able to get access to really good quality education as well as materials in order to overcome their impoverished situation. And when there's no books and when there's no knowledge, there's no power to be able to go beyond life circumstances in which have been presented to them. They have no power over the exposure of books and other very important historical information. They have references to be able to question the reality of the systems in which they are in. And they don't have to be satisfied with just existing when they have access to wisdom and understanding that gives them alternatives to assume and to think about. And how much of an investment it is towards our future when we can give children education and knowledge. Because the satanic world, the evil world in which we all are struggling to overcome, is hell bent on promoting scarcity, and so the investment comes and pays dividends when everybody is in the position where they can think, where they can be creative, because that opens the door for their creativity by getting references to other information that gives them the power to question, I don't have to be this way. I don't have to settle for this reality. I have the power based on what this person did that I can do the same thing. It's a whole, it's it's very, very powerful in what she did. I can say some more things to that, but I believe that's a very, very noble undertaking because our system of education uh, needs to be, in my humble opinion, controlled by the individual state as opposed to
Is it my computer or did he break up? Froze.
Yeah, he froze too.
Oh, okay. So this a freezing day. Great. Amen. You froze, my dear brother, Franklin, Reverend Franklin, for a second. I think we lost him. Oh, no. Okay. Once he comes back on, he can complete his thought. Oh, is he back on? Are you back on, Reverend Franklin? You're muted.
Oh, okay. I guess, because I'm traveling, maybe I got in and out of the network Wi-Fi or whatever.
Yeah, for a minute. Yeah.
Yeah. But the importance of education can never, ever, ever, ever be overstated how important it is for society, for people to get out of their impoverished situation. Because otherwise, without education, we're so vulnerable. We're just accepting the status quo, accepting our miserable situation or those so-called miserable situations that they're in. It's normal. And no, it's not normal. It's not normal for our people to be impoverished in different parts of the world. No, that's not normal, and that should be totally unacceptable. And so I applaud this wonderful lady for her undertaking to be able to, and I really honestly believe that is the source of poverty is a lack of education and the access to not and to create their own businesses, their own institutions, as opposed to be enslaved or being dominated or controlled by the system that they're in.
Thank you very much. I thought about one other word. When they're out there and they're vulnerable, they're also manipulated based on their lack of education of what right decisions to make and what is right and what is wrong. So that also contributes to, some ill behaviors that we have witnessed in these communities and even on a worldwide scale. Thank you very much. I appreciate your comments. Really well said. Thank you. Anyone else? I'd like to ask Donna. She made a comment if she wants to make a comment. Donna Avery. Hi, welcome.
I have to unmute. Hi.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that as an information referral specialist, I worked in that position for 14 years with United Way here in Alaska. And part of our training was on the bridge out of poverty. And the culture of poverty is transcendent of racism, although it does intersect more with some cultural groups and minorities than others. But there's a language that's involved, and part of it, I think, we've all been hearing about is lack of education that kind of infiltrates that culture due to restraints of poverty, having to work 2 or 3 jobs, all those different factors. What came to mind as I heard the presentation, which was dynamite, and I didn't recognize that she wasn't giving it live, except maybe at one of those dates, but is that we think in terms of English distribution of languages, but in Alaska, in Anchorage, our school system has 100 languages spoken. We have a high immersion school rate of people studying, children that are studying Japanese, Chinese, Russian, German, Spanish, and of course, English. So the language of the culture is, and the culture itself, the recognition of that is so important, I believe, the sensitivities of the books and the libraries also. She talked about that. And I think that's relevant to violence, because I feel like when people are misunderstood, or they feel misunderstood, or they know that they're just not a part of the majority, that it's easier to feel alienated, separated, and not able to sort out the feelings that go along with violence. So education for discernment, doesn't that involve character? And my question would be character education, emphasis of some of the books, because that's beyond culture most of the time. Because through character education, I believe there's a way to teach judgment calls, discernment, and all the important factors that I think lead to living a life more in happiness, joy, and peace, and less in hatred or injustice and all the other, and poverty and illiteracy. But literacy is critical. I was raised in a country town of 400 people in Texas, and we had to, and the age there wasn't internet and all this stuff in the 60s and 70s and 60s basically. And we had to write off for a book, wait for the book to arrive, read the book, sort out what its content was, and figure it out. And we had good teachers, and the emphasis was on the learner, the skills to learn. So it's exciting to see that we can talk about eliminating or addressing violence through education and the issues of poverty, and on such a scale as this project, bringing it into our local communities. I'm concerned to see how we integrate all these, and I'm excited about your event that's coming up, and I can't wait for the announcement on that.
Thank you. Thank you, Donna. Well said. Also, you and Reverend Franklin, really some excellent points. Anyone else? Anyone else has anything that they remarks that they would like to make? Oh, yeah, Reverend Stoner.
I was very moved by her passion and her commitment to helping young people to break the cycle of violence. But I would have liked to have seen more emphasis on the American system of education, because, as Reverend Franklin mentioned, we have to break the hold that the federal government has over local education.
Yes.
When I was young, there was no problem with, be it the federal or state level, allowing teachers to teach. Now, the federal government is manipulating what exactly teachers can share, and it's a curriculum many times that doesn't focus on the basic subjects that they need before they get into high school or college. And also, the federal government has restricted local teachers from being able to teach from their heart, use their value system to be able to guide students, to be able to develop their character as they learn academic subjects. And I think, of course, in the inner city, there are environments that can can contribute toward greater violence. So to the extent that well, how to be able to separate the environment from the actual practice of teaching is more difficult, I think, probably in an inner city environment. But I'd like to see local leaders being able to get involved to be able to help in that situation, because I just moved not too long ago from St. Louis, Missouri, and charter schools were blossoming. But I think here in Indiana, the state government is not, it's impeding or restricting that somehow. So there's a lot of opportunities I think that local leaders could offer that sometimes aren't made available to the students and individual families. So I just wish there were more information about education locally in America.
Yeah, thank you for that, Bill. Just real quick, I wanted to address that, what you just shared. But I know that Donna said that she was leaving. Just want to make an announcement. We hadn't announced that August 31st would be the date, but I would like to take it a week up. Only reason why is I think one of our key persons, such as everyone on here, who has played an intricate role in the development of this Stop the Violence, is Dr. Madeline Alexander, who will not be here on that time. She's traveling and won't be back to September 3rd or something of that nature. So I thought I would push it up because I think she's really critical in the organization of it and just being one of the speakers and coordinators, helping us to coordinate. So I would prefer to move it up to maybe the next week when she's back. So I just let everybody know we did say August 31st, but we want to take it back. I think she's a critical component, as everybody who has been on here religiously and supporting. It's been just wonderful.
And what exactly is that meeting?
That's a conference, the national conference on stopping violence that I had announced. Yeah. So we want to put it in September. Sorry about that, but I thought that let's have everybody in. Okay.
One question. In the event we couldn't make it for some reason, will it be streamed in any portion? Live streamed or?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's critical
hybrid.
I think so. It's critical that we be doing that as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Are you welcome? Yeah, thank you for asking. And just lastly, like just to say, Bill, you're correct. You know, I'm just an old daddy, so I have a younger daughter, and you know, my wife and I were just shocked. We're shocked at the information, the lack of education that was going on in the school system. You know, even this, what they call Common Core education, that I thought it's just unfair. She was doing math and in the third grade that I thought I couldn't even understand what it was. I thought maybe it was something that we would learn in first year of college. I didn't get it. And then I talked to one of the teachers, and one of the teachers did say that, you know, it's designed that way. And when I look at the internet, it was designed for them separate the wheat from the shaft, if you will, for what they call global education, global dominance. You know, who would rise to the global dominance, something of that nature. But one of the things that I thought was clear cut reality was that all the education that we went through I mean, the kids don't know anything about American history. That's
Mm-hmm.
one of the things we learned immediately. They have never heard of the Pilgrim Fathers. You know, they had no idea what Thanksgiving really meant in conjunction with American history. They had no idea, never heard of it, you know, and it's not taught in the school. And I realized that through watching my daughter, that, I mean, being that my daughter was in elementary school and going into middle school, that they purposely deleted that kind of education out of our schools, because whether you like America or not, it's still that particular piece of education played a critical role in helping our young people understand even a whole moral construct of what America really was founded on. You know, whether America made big mistakes or not, still what is the underlying principles that made America a religious nation, so, or a nation of moral principles, or some sort of standard, if you will, whatever word you want to use, was completely deleted out of her school. I asked my daughter; she didn't know anything about it, you know. So yes, I agree with you, Reverend Stoner. There's some problem when it comes to now, especially this particular administrations and government implementations that are dictating what our children should learn and what they should not learn. And that is, not acceptable as far as I'm concerned. And so I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, because former President Trump and also former presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy, they both said that if either one of them should be elected to serve as president, that they want to abolish the Department of Education and give the authority back to the federal, give it back to the states. And I think that's a really, really good idea. And so, yeah, because you're right, because we're Oprah Winfrey, part of her motivation for having those schools in Africa. She saw during the time that she had her Oprah Winfrey show that the system was designed for industrial civilization, was designed to create workers for manufacturing businesses that were relevant towards 1959. And so the system is based on an old, outdated standard. So yeah, so it has something that has to be done. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think God is in charge, so I'm not going to make any kind of statements politically. Like
right.
I tell people, I'm not. We'll see what God chooses, because
Exactly.
the way the system is going right now, it looks like it's winning. It looks like it's right. It looks like it's politically correct, whatever that means. So it looks like, well, if you can't beat them, join them. But God is saying he will never join. And something will transpire. So just sit, put your seatbelt on, and wait and see what happens.
I think so. It's becoming obvious.
Yeah. It's just anyway, I can't fathom in my mind what people are saying. They don't see that there's a problem. My issue too is that you have these complaints about certain candidates and stuff like that, but I don't see any concerted efforts to stop violence and why that violence is happening in those communities. You overlook those violence. I don't understand how you can encourage more violence and crime by allowing people to go into CVS's. As long as you steal $999 worth of stuff, you're okay. I have a CVS manager, a good friend of mine, just stopped me. He said, one of my workers was stopping a person who had hundreds of dollars worth of items in their hands. And they watched the video, the camera, the administration, and who got fired? The worker got fired for stopping the person from stealing. What kind of madness is that? What do we find? You know?
Yeah. A lot of people don't understand that there's a philanthropist by the name of George Soros who has an incredible amount of money. And normally people with a lot of money want to protect their money and make more money. But this man is giving to such liberal causes that they enter into the realm of Marxism and communism. He has contributed money to the local sheriffs and county prosecutors in many, many cities around America. And he's used this process of dumbing down the judicial system so that those who were caught stealing or breaking in, that there was a certain they set a certain standard of who would and who would not be prosecuted. And yeah, if you have a certain volume of things you're stealing, if it's lower than that volume, then you're not going to be prosecuted. In Indianapolis, Indiana, just about a year ago, someone broke in. We were moving out of the church, getting it ready to sell, and someone broke in, a squatter, and there were 2-3 people with them. And it took us a long time to get in there to get them out. We finally got them out, and we thought, okay, problem solved. We locked the building up, turned the lights out, came back a few days later, they were right back in there. So we called the police. The police arrested them. And then a week or two later, they were back in there again after the police took them to the police station. And we asked, why are they back here again? And the policeman shrugged his shoulders and said, it's the local prosecutor. So there's certain crimes that are not prosecuted. And that has to stop. And
Yeah.
all that's being funded by a part of the Democratic Party that believes that this is proper judicial reform.
Well, I'm going to have to go because I have a guest flying in. But what I want to say is that a local Walmart's had to close down. A few CVS's had to close down here because they couldn't take it anymore. They're losing.
Well, in San Francisco, there are a lot of big companies that moved out of that city. They vacated downtown, really big, nice offices in downtown San Francisco.
Well, there you have it. My brothers and my sisters, thank you so much. This conversation can get even deeper and longer, but we will see you next week. I have a person, law enforcement person, who is hoping they'll come on. They will come on next week. I thought I can get him on this week from Cincinnati. And he's a product of mentorship. And if he had not been a mentor, he would have been one of the statistics out there committing crimes. So he's going to tell his story. Hopefully we can get him on and by next week. So everyone, God bless you. Let's look. I will send out a notice to those people who wants to contribute to the coordination of this upcoming conference in September. And God bless you. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, thank you. God bless you, Reverend Franklin.
Yeah, thank you, everyone, for all your comments.